Welcome to the Root of Power podcast, where I teach you how to step into your power, find alignment, and create a life that you love using holistic methods, interviews with industry leaders, and inspiring stories from people who know that true freedom is found within. I'm your host and health and wellness bestie, Amanda Chills, and I'm so proud of you for choosing to step into the root of your power. Hello, my beautiful, wonderful, supportive, enigmatic podcast fam. I want to let you know that I am officially taking on health coaching clients, and I would love to talk to you if you have ever thought about wanting to dial in and up-level your health. So you will get personalized access to me for 3 months at least. You can continue later if you want, but send me a message at Amanda_Chills if you want to hear more. Can't wait to talk to you. Now, Emily is actually someone I met through the Y. So we were doing Beast Mode, their version of CrossFit, together. And she was just freaking killing it. So we became friends. She is a horse chick too. And she is doing this personal training thing. She's taking on clients. She's educating people in the health and wellness space. And she is just, you guys are going to hear, like, she is doing such cool things. So if you want to hear about XYZ, listen in, but like, just listen because you're going to get some value from it. So here we go with Emily. Waiting on it to start. Okay, y'all, welcome back to the Root of Power podcast. I hope you're doing well, podcast fam. I have got my friend Emily today who is going to just help you out in life and share her story. So Emily and I met doing Beast Mode, which was our local Wise version of CrossFit. And she was just a badass, like, let's be honest. And then she boarded a horse at my farm, Libby, who was, if you guys know Mayor, she was very much a mayor. And now Emily is doing personal training. She is working with clients. She's into bodybuilding. So we're going to talk about all of those things. So welcome, Emily Gann. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Tell us about you. That was obviously an introduction, but tell us about you.
So, hi, everyone. My name is Emily Gann. I'm 22 years old, and I go to the University of North Carolina, Greensboro. That is currently where I personal train. I am ACE certified, and I have been loving it. Working with clients has always been kind of what I wanted to do with life. I started out doing that at the YMCA as a wellness coach, but the difference in the wellness coach versus the trainer was the wellness coach couldn't do quite as much as a trainer because they didn't have as much knowledge and they didn't have to have a certification, so their ability to expand on different exercises was very minimal. So when I got a taste of that, I was like, oh, I love this. I want to do more of this. What is the next level up? Let's go. Yeah. And so finally I actually got enough confidence in myself in 2019 to go after that certification. And it was super scary, especially if you're someone who gets a lot of test anxiety like I do. But it has been well worth it, and I've really enjoyed it, really enjoyed helping clients of all ages and all different genders and all different walks of life. It's super rewarding.
Now, some people say, oh, a personal trainer, that's for rich people. That's for bougie people, right? I hear a lot of excuses why people don't hire an expert. So why, like, you work with, I'm sure, a range of fitness, a range of reasons that people hire a personal trainer. What are some of the things that someone would hire a personal trainer for?
So hiring a personal trainer can be for multiple different things. I've had people come to me for, the general weight loss, general health, general fitness, muscle gain, mobility. A lot of older people come to me for mobility, and I absolutely love working with those kind of clients because everything, instead of moving at like a faster pace, like a HIIT workout or something high paced, it's more slower and gradual because, you're not going to be able to do a split or something like that overnight. Well, maybe not for the older folks, but for them, they're not going to be able to do a simple lunge in one day or even in 1 month. I worked with one lady for about 3 months just on doing a lunge, and it was huge for her. And
Yeah.
that's so rewarding because that's not what you normally think of with personal training. You normally think of like weight loss and fat burning and like super high intensity, like, come on, you got it, one more. But this was more calm, as in like, you can do this, you've done this, you're doing great.
Yeah. And
So,
much more functional. So I love that you landed on mobility because this is something like one of the hills I will die on as someone in the health and wellness space is people doing mobility work over like isometric work. So I'm sure everyone has seen like people who have huge upper bodies but they have chicken legs and they can't break parallel in a squat. So what that means for people who are like, what's that? It's where you when your thighs are under like where you hit 90 degrees and then you go deeper than that. So mobility is something I see so many people struggle with. And I love that you're hitting on that. And a lot of clients, I think that needs to not just be an older person thing. That's an everyone thing. Do more mobility work. So talk to us about what happens when people don't do mobility work.
So there's so many negative effects of not doing mobility work, not stretching, not foam rolling. I personally, I neglect a lot of these as well, so don't think I'm the poster child for it because I'm not. I am human. I do get busy, and I'm like, oh, that's one of the last things that I focus on. However, one thing I've noticed why these older people are coming to me for that is because they fell down the same path. They got in the same rabbit hole as we all did, and they neglected it, and now they're like, oh crap, I can't sit down without this hurting, like sit down in a chair just as I'm doing right now. So definitely doing the mobility work where you don't lock up and you don't get to that point later on because when we're young, we're like, oh, we're invincible. We're never going to get old. We're never going to be able to not move. Like, we're going to stay young forever.
Yeah.
No, we're going to blink and we're going to be, gray and wrinkles. That's just time for you. But keeping that mobility work up is super, super important because it's good for your joints. It's good for simple actions that you're going to do. It's super great with preventing injury. I almost said infection. I was like, that's not the word I'm looking for.
It probably also prevents infection in some way because it lessens inflammation and keeps you supple, but
keeps you circulating.
Yeah.
Yes, but mobility, I cannot drill that enough, especially for upper level athletes and just the everyday person.
Everyone.
Health and fitness, exactly. If your body can't move properly, you can't progress in whatever you're trying to do.
Preach, girl. So can you explain then the difference between mobility and flexibility?
So the mobility and flexibility, the best way I like to describe this to clients when I get this question is it's doing a split versus being able to move without things popping and feeling discomforted. So flexibility is what you can work, so you can work on both of them, but flexibility is more of like what you're setting your goal for. Like, do you want to be able to do a split? Do you want to be able to put your leg behind your head? Do you want to be able to, open your legs up farther? Do you want to be able to put your arm behind your head farther? All that good stuff. That's more of like the flexibility aspect behind it. And then the mobility is more of just common stuff like, can you do a basic lunge? Can you sit in a chair without discomfort? Can you get out of bed? Can you rise up? Just more simple stuff like that you can work on. So
mobility is a full range of motion to move through the whole motion versus like holding a specific pose.
Yes, mobility is less. They're both intense, but I would say mobility is like a less intense version because it's just like common daily stuff of moving through the motions instead of focusing on like, oh, I want to be able to do this for an extended period of time. Like I want to be able to do a split, or I want to be able to do a back bend, or something a little bit more advanced, which even flexibility is still, even like minor stuff is still advanced.
It can be like touch your toes.
Right.
But the ability to go down and touch your toes and come back up would be range of motion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically mobility's got to come before super flexibility because they go hand in hand. If you're wanting to touch your toes, then you got to have that mobility to just start with the bend, and then if you want to go farther, you've got to have that flexibility to get all the way down. So definitely hand in hand. Work on both. I preach it. I lack it sometimes. So.
Hey, no one's perfect.
Mm-mm.
So you got started doing like a wellness coach at the Y, and then you got your certification, and now you're seeing clients. And how did you get into fitness?
So that is actually, long story made short, I got into fitness back in seventh grade at Nautilus in Asheboro, Nautilus Family Fitness Center. Yes, I went with my mom. She signed up because she wanted to lose weight because she was going out with a guy at the time who was in the military, and he wanted her to become more fit because she didn't have the best health habits. And at that time, the owner of the gym would let kids come with their parents, like, 13, 14, 15-year-olds come with their parents to work out if their parents watch them. And so my mom, instead of putting me like, oh, go to this after school thing, she just took me with her. And day one, I fell in love with it. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I love it.
Yeah.
I want to do more of this. And so as I kept going to Nautilus with her, and we would do like an hour of cardio, which is insane, but we would, and then we would do like 3 machines, and the trainer like showed us the machines and everything. And then this one trainer who is actually, she's passed away now. She passed away at 56 because she got pancreatic cancer. Her name was Young Chi. Yunchi. She worked at Nautilus, and she was such an inspiration to me because she was built, but she wasn't extreme, and she looked like she worked out, and she was so nice, and she was so outgoing, and I was like, I want to be her. Like, that's it. I want to be her. And then when I found out she competed in bodybuilding competitions, I was like, oh, game on. This is great. So that was kind of what started it all because, I was overweight at the time too. So.
I love that you say that. So when you were talking, what stood out in my mind was like representation matters. So had the gym only had male trainers, you would have perhaps not had the same experience. So tell us about your experience seeing women in that space and what it's like as a woman in that space. I know we've talked before, and you said you get a lot of pushback from dudes who, like, first of all, no one cares about their opinion. Like, no one cares. Stop telling us we don't care. But it can be heavy when a lot of people are giving you opinions, and people can have very strict like standards on what is a woman and what a woman is supposed to look like. So one, representation, like women in the female space, and then how is it impacting you as you get into that space?
So women in like the gym area and in the space of that, then and now, then it really stood out to me because I figured out very quickly that especially in the more rural community, which is where I'm originally from in Asheboro, women it's more traditional, it's more old school, which is completely fine if you're into that. And women don't necessarily have a lot of muscle. They're not really deemed as strong.
Well, they're not lifting as much. So anyone who goes to a gym can tell a difference in the women that are in the weight section and the women that are in the cardio section.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, I think anyone who's ever been to a gym, typically there are more men lifting than there are women. I really think that's changed in the last, like, decade or so.
I do, too.
But it still exists. So I think that's what you're speaking to.
Yes, definitely like the then and now for sure, because I saw it change drastically just over that time.
Yeah.
But seeing the trainer that I was referencing, seeing her, and I was like, wow, like she is not the norm because she decided to challenge herself. She didn't care what these guys are saying. And she pushed that, which was huge, and I love that. So that stood out to me, and then her helping people stood out to me even more. But that was then versus now. Now you see a lot more women that are in gyms. You see a lot more women that are lifting weights, and it's great. The misconception that if women lift weights, they get bulky, that is finally starting to die off, and I'm so thankful for that.
Can you explain why it's not true?
Okay, so first of all, it's not true because we do not have the same hormonal makeup as a man. We do not produce as much testosterone, so therefore, if we really want to get bulky, quote unquote, we will have to supplement with something. Not every woman, because if you bust your ass in the gym, you're gonna gain muscle. But if you're
some women are more naturally muscular, like my type, I can put on muscle quickly, but I am without some legit supplements like you're talking about, there is 0% chance of like, I'm going to look like Dwayne Johnson.
Right.
That's just not going to happen.
No. Exactly.
But I think that rhetoric has been so common, and you've experienced when men are like, you look like a man. Like, okay, get out of here. Right. So, one, it's not true because of the hormonal makeup, and what are the other reasons that it just won't happen?
Well, another reason that it won't just happen is because women, this kind of goes along with the hormonal makeup too, but our function from the tail of time is to have a kid. Mm-hmm. So we do carry more fat naturally, and that's just how it is. It's nothing like personal to anyone, but our bodies are deemed from day one to have a kid and to keep the population going. Men, not so much. So, which is probably good because I've seen them get like a flu shot and cry. But not all of them, but some of them.
Don't at me, men.
Yes, don't at me. I'm not attacking anyone personally. I'm just saying.
Just joking.
Just a joke. Calm down. So, but overall, it's the hormonal thing. 2, it's the fact that we're not built like that. Some women, like you said, like you gain muscle easier. Some women do gain muscle easier, but like you said, they're not going to become bulky. They're not going to look like, Dwayne Johnson or Steve Austin or whatever. I mean, it's just not going to happen unless there is added supplementation.
So what does happen when women start lifting weights?
So when a woman starts lifting weights, I love this question. 1, your confidence skyrockets. 2, your metabolism skyrockets, so then you get to eat more, which we all love, like, let's be honest.
Most of us love, true.
Most of the time in, like, beginners and, like, newbie gains and stuff, some people talk about that, and they've coined that phrase, like, newbie gains and newbie muscle growth. That's very true, because when you stimulate the muscles and you have a new stimulus on them, they do grow, they wake up, pretty much, and you will start to shed some of that fat along with it. Just because you're being more active, you're burning more calories. Most women that I see too, they do end up getting leaner when they start working out and lifting weights because they're burning. Weight training burns more calories than cardio, like in an hour. If you look at 1 hour cardio and 1 hour of weight training, most of the time you're going to burn a lot more calories in the weight training than you are the cardio, just because most people when they're on the treadmill or elliptical, they're not hauling ass, they're not like as fast as they can go. They're kind of just bebopping along, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're not going to get your heart rate up as high as if you lift a heavy weight 1, 2, 3 times and then you move on. Your heart rate's going to jump up, and so then you're going to burn more calories because that's what it's all about. So most of the time, women do end up getting a lot leaner because they are getting their heart rate up higher. They are working harder, but they're still in there for the same amount of time. So they love it because it's like, oh my gosh, I look better and I'm in here for the same amount of time and like I'm stronger and like, oh, this is great.
Yeah. So I really find a huge connection between lifting weights and challenging yourself physically and your confidence because you've seen it in the clients that you work with. They'll start doing things that 6 months ago, 1 month ago, they could never have lifted that amount of weight. They didn't have the mobility. Sometimes we'll go to lift a weight. I know this is something you experience. I'll go to lift a weight and my head gets in the way. And then I'm like, I can't count how much weight I have on because if I know, I won't lift it. But once we start training, and that's all it is just a skill that people learn. Once we start learning how to say, yes, this is hard. Yes, it's scary, but I'm going to do my best. And I think weightlifting is such a beautiful thing because you can literally see progress. Like you can literally see that you're lifting more or that your pants fit differently or whatever. So I love it because it gives very real time feedback.
Oh, definitely. I absolutely love that. One thing that I'm getting on board in 2021 this year that I've started making more of my clients do that I played with this in the latter part of 2020 because, there for a while with quarantine, we had gyms shut down and everything. But then back in May and June, things somewhat kind of opened back up a little bit. So I started playing with this myself, but tracking my workouts a little closer, not necessarily writing down every single thing. Well, I do personally, but my clients, I don't make them do that, but just tracking some of their weights because one thing that you, like you said, it's real time. You see it. But another thing that's easy to do is go in and do the exact same thing because
Mhm.
it feels good. When in reality, you can do more.
Yeah.
Some people just forget about it, you know?
Right. Yeah. So, like, I'm one of those people. I forget how much I had last time because my brain is a bag of cats 90% of the time. So I'm just like, I have no idea how much this feels heavy. And then when I think about it, I'm like, oh no, that's way more weight than I was doing 2 months ago.
Mhm.
So some people hire you for accountability, for tracking, for your information. A lot of people don't know how to work out, and they follow these, like, I want to get into Instagram influencers because that's very big in this space, and I think it can be, yep, I see your face. That's why I want to talk about it. I think a lot of people follow fitness influencers on Instagram or on social media who, one, have no training. They undereat, they overtrain, they're a mess. But then they're selling these programs. They're not certified. They're selling these programs. They're making a ton of money. There was a girl I followed. I followed her story closely a couple years ago, and she was selling, quote unquote, like these personalized nutrition plans. She's not a nutritionist. It was a mess, right?
Mhm.
And she had these sponsorships from these big companies, and she was just totally conning people. And then with Photoshop and all these things. So, like, can you talk to us, because you're in this space, what it's like, because I'm sure you have clients who do that. So, like, okay, hang on, what's my question? So, like, talk to us about how you feel about fitness influencers fitness influencers in the social media space who are dangerous. You don't have to name any names, but there's a collective of people, and I want to talk about the consequences of following people who don't have actual knowledge. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
Okay.
does. And the very
That was
first
a
thing,
long question.
oh yeah, long question, but let me see. I'm going to try to answer that one in its entirety. The biggest thing of that, like, as soon as you said it, was yes, the conning people, yes, the
Oh,
scamming, yes, there's no accreditation, like they don't have a certification, they don't have a degree, they don't have anything.
right.
But another negative thing of that too that I have addressed with a lot of my clients lately going into this year, since Instagram is so big, and it's, let's be honest, it's fun to follow one of the influencers or
Yeah,
something.
it
It's
can be inspirational, but I think
mhm.
a lot of people just feel bad. Like it feels bad.
That is what is the biggest thing that I want to like touch on is the comparison, because it is so easy for us to get on our phones, first thing in the morning, break at work, whatever it may be, and scroll through Instagram and feel like we are less than because we see an influencer with, a huge behind, or,
Mhm.
super flat stomach, or, whatever it may be. I'm not sure what, like maybe for guys it's huge arms and huge legs, or ripped, or veins coming out everywhere,
Yeah.
and we see that and we compare ourselves, and it completely just murders all of what we're trying to do in our fitness journeys, because we're like, oh well, I'm never going to look like that.
Yeah.
But in reality, honey, she doesn't either. I mean, she
They
doesn't
don't
either.
either. Yeah. So
Yeah.
one thing that I see a lot with fitness influencers, and men and women, they'll do what I eat in a day. And I'm just like, that is so dangerous. And I know, like, so social media specifically, for people that don't know, food does really well. It monetizes really well on Pinterest, on social media, on YouTube. We're just nosy little gremlins, and so we love watching stuff like that. But then these people post what they eat in a day, and men and women will follow this program not knowing, because I think they purposely don't nuance their information. They don't say this works. Well, some do, but a lot don't. They don't say this is my personalized nutrition plan. I will not post my macros because what works for me doesn't work for you. I work out 3 hours a day. Like, they don't talk about those nuanced things, and so men and women will be like, oh well, that's what they eat. That's how many calories they eat. I'm going to do the same thing. And then they feel like a failure when it doesn't work. Ooh, I'm a lot madder about this than I thought I would be. And then
No.
they feel like a failure.
Yeah, me too. And another thing too that I like to preach to my clients along those same lines is when, these super big influencers with all these like thousands of followers do those what we eat in a day. Also, another thing that clients and just people and myself have to remember is it's super easy to be something you're not on social media. It's super easy to track what you eat in a day. And in reality, those folks might not even be eating that. I know that because I've literally watched people do it.
Yeah. Or they're sponsored posts and they get paid to add them in. Like, people really, maybe we need to do a whole social media class, because I think people really don't understand how social media works. And when ads aren't disclosed, and so people are like, oh, well, they're eating, and then people do it a lot with Franken foods, right? Like all these supplements and bars and blah, 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 like the bullshit people eat. And they're like, I love this bar. And then next week they're like, I love this bar. And it's like, you're not disclosing that you're paid to love this crap. Like, you're lying. Oh, I hate this. Makes me so angry.
You're exactly right. I mean, it's so prevalent, especially with anything in the fitness world, because most people that get into the gym and they get into the fitness world, they do want to start like just general supplementation with pre-workout and protein bars and stuff like that. Oh, it's so big money. My boyfriend works for a supplement store, and they don't even have to market that much because people they come after that stuff.
Yeah. So we hate it. Everyone is like, yes, we hear that you hate it. What do people, like, for people listening that they're like, okay, well, I didn't know that. I don't really know what to do. What is the most valuable nutrition thing that people can do? Like, do they need to track food? I'm not a proponent of that. I would never in life. I'm just not gonna do it, right? Like, why? But what can people be aware of? Do they need to prioritize whole foods? Do they just need to be aware that a lot of these people are paid to sell these things? So really look into these companies. Like, what nutrition guidance in general would you give people just so they start being aware of these things?
For overall, like, health and wellness, or like overall? Yeah. Okay.
Let's do both. For overall health and wellness, and then if you're trying to like build muscle.
Okay. So what you need to be aware of for overall like health and wellness, is one, the people on Instagram, they most likely are getting paid or sponsored or whatever have you for whatever they're posting or whatever they're eating. Most people don't just post what they eat in a day just for the hell of it, and unless they, feel the need to do that and feel like they have the time. So definitely check whatever that person is, check their followers, check their credibility, check, everything. Do your homework on that. So in the general health and fitness stuff, I would definitely say prioritize whole foods. I would definitely say keep a variety too. For most people, that is a little bit more difficult, I've seen, especially with my clients, because they're like, oh, well, I don't want to buy X, Y, and Z. But that's how you keep it interesting, and that's how you stay on track. Another thing that I try to preach for like general health and fitness of, eating and keeping your nutrition on the best shape you can is try to have foods available. Try to have healthy foods available, because what happens when people go off track is when they get hangry and they're like, oh my God, I'm starving. I would eat cardboard box right now. And then they end up eating the cardboard box and the cookies in it and the whole box. So
keep healthy snacks. What are some examples of healthy snacks?
Low-fat cheese sticks are my absolute go-to. So for 2 of those sticks, you get 12 grams of protein and only 5 grams of fat, but you have to make sure you find the low-fat version. So that's super, super good. I love that. Protein bars are great. Just check the sugar in them. Most of the time with protein bars, sometimes they can turn into cereal bars. Because all the sugar is sometimes...
They're just candy bars. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, they are.
They're just candy bars.
They really are.
What brands do you like?
So I usually, when I'm eating a protein bar, I am one of those people that I kind of sacrifice taste. Because if you want taste, you're going to get the other bullshit in it. So if you're really going for something healthy, I mean, if you're going to eat one that's loaded with sugar, just go eat the candy bar and satisfy yourself. But if you're actually trying to like stay on track, then I suggest brands like Quest. Quest is really good, but they're really chewy. And then another really cheap one that I've gotten really good feedback from that I like as well is just the pure protein bars from Walmart. They're
Huh.
cheaper. They're smaller. They're a lot smaller than like the
Okay.
regular bars, so you can get them down faster. But the nutrition on them is still similar. Like you still get the 20 grams of protein in the basic protein bar calorie makeup.
Yeah.
But it's like if you're like, oh my God, I hate protein bars, then this one's smaller, so it's like 2 bites and you're
Yeah.
done.
Or also just don't eat them. Like,
Yeah, or just don't eat
if
them.
you hate them, don't eat them, and
Don't eat them.
eat a handful of cashews or
Yeah.
almonds.
Eat cheese sticks or turkey meat or you know
Jeez. Yeah.
or whatever. So, but if you're looking like if you're like, oh crap, and you're at a gas station or something, and you're like,
Mm.
oh, I need to, I missed my whole lunch. What can I eat?
Yeah.
Well, there's you a good option, or a shake if you're someone who likes to drink stuff better. So, but same thing with those. Just watch the sugar.
So Whole Foods, watch sugar,
Definitely.
don't buy crap, and then you don't have it in the house.
Right.
And I think another thing to say is a lot of people can get really caught up in rules, but I think it's safe to say that do the best you can. Not everyone can afford all whole foods. Not everyone can afford all organic, all grass-fed. Like, that's not realistic for some people. So I think some people, and maybe you've experienced this, some people get stuck in, well, if I can't do everything, I'll do nothing. And it's like, okay, yeah, you have that option. I don't see how that's going to help you, but like, do you? But you can also do the best you can. Buy more vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for people listening too, just do the best you can. And the same thing with lifting. You may not be able to lift the same that your trainer or your workout partner or whatever lifts, but everybody starts out as a beginner and you can always just get better.
Yep.
So just for everyone listening,
I completely second that.
Yeah, talk to us about being a woman in the bodybuilding space and what that community is like. I think a lot of people have thoughts about what bodybuilders are like.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the community.
So I got my start of heavy lifting back in beast mode and CrossFit, and then I ended up going to a CrossFit box in Greensboro, CrossFit Versatile, which I absolutely love. I still can say so many good things about them. The only reason I stopped going was because I got into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And it is a very, very different world. So
Yeah.
CrossFit, you have a team, and everyone is more like a family. Bodybuilding, it is every man for themselves. And I hate to say that, but in the end, that is what it is. So, like, you may work out with some of the girls or some of the girls, guys, whatever, that you compete with. But when you're on stage and that day comes, they're not your friend. You're there to eat them. You're there. It's game time, and that has been something that's been very difficult to get in my head, especially coming from like the CrossFit team aspect.
So they're not like friendly?
They're friendly, but when it comes down to first place,
but it's still like, I'm here to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes, like everybody's really friendly. Like the days of shows and backstage and everything, people are super, super friendly because the work is done. Because all the work that you do for a bodybuilding show is put on in your off season of gaining the muscle and getting to that size that you want and getting that look that you want. So all the work, like it's not like a CrossFit competition where you show up the day of and you perform and then whoever gets the most points throughout the day wins. No, that's not. You step on stage, whoever looks the best, whoever put in the work the hardest during their prep or during their building phase of their off season, that's who wins. So there's no need to be rude or unfriendly the day of. But when you get on stage, for example, if it's a small stage and your friend steps in front of you when you're doing a pose, sorry, you got to knock that bitch out the way. Like you got to step in front of her. And that's so terrible, but it's just the reality.
Yeah.
So it's a huge difference. And the community is very tight knit. But it's also every man for himself because at the end of the day you're going to be competing against each other.
Yeah. What's a competition like? So talk to us about like a typical prep and competition cycle because I know like I've heard like the reverse diet or that's something that you guys do. Obviously I don't know a lot about it. So what is a prep cycle? Like kind of walk us through an overview of what that looks like for someone that's like, oh, maybe I would be interested in bodybuilding.
So when you get ready to prep, That's where preparation for a bodybuilding show. You will either start that prep anywhere from 3 to 5, 6 months out. Most people stay around the 4 and 5 month mark, but some people can do it in 3 if they're, if they've been doing it a little longer, or if they're more new to it, they'll do it for 6 months. So anywhere in there. Most preps are usually 4 to 5 months. And that's when you start it, you will start cutting your calories. You will cut that down. Your cardio will go up. So basically, your activity level is going to increase, and your caloric level is going to decrease, which in return makes you lose weight. So all at the same time that you're going to try to maintain as much muscle mass as you can, because basically what you're doing in a bodybuilding prep is you build all this muscle, and you eat all the foods, you build all the muscle, and then when it comes time, 3, 4, 5 months before the show, you want to strip that top layer off to reveal the muscle that you've built. That's really what you're doing. And
that's a pretty delicate balance, because if you're doing all the cardio, then you're naturally losing some of the muscle. And, yeah.
Oh, yes, you will, especially when you start cutting your calories to reveal the muscle that you have put on. You are going to lose some of your muscle. It's just part of it, unless you add supplementation in there, which that's a whole other conversation, because bodybuilding can be done. It can be done naturally, or it can be done unnaturally, and that's been an argument from the tale of time, which that's a whole other topic for discussion.
We'll assume people are doing it naturally.
Okay, then yes, then naturally you will be losing some muscle, because you can't preserve it all. It doesn't matter how many essential amino acids you drink, or branched chain amino acids you drink, EAAs or BCAAs, or how many protein shakes you drink. You can't preserve all the muscle when you're in a caloric deficit. But once you prep for that long and you get lean enough to get on stage, which lean enough, that's a broad term, because that can look like multiple different things for people.
Because there's different categories, right?
There's a lot of different divisions for men and women. So usually for women, if you're wanting to not build as much muscle, and you're wanting to build up your glutes and your behind, and you're wanting to have nice legs, but you really don't want big shoulders, and you really don't want like a big back, then you're going to go in the bikini division. And then the next level up, if you do want bigger shoulders and you do want a bigger back, then you're going to go for figure. And then they just added a new division called wellness, which is more for the girls who can build really big legs, but they can't build as big of an upper body.
That's your girl.
There you go.
That's for the size.
So a lot of the Latin American community excels in that division.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They do. They really do. Like the Colombian girls and the Brazilian girls,
they were just made to like walk super long distances up mountains. That's literally what they're made for.
They dominate the division. I'm pretty sure right now the girl who got the Wellness Olympia back in December, I'm pretty sure she's of some Latin American something. Yeah. I'm not sure what. I don't want to get it wrong, but they dominate it. But then once you move up from wellness, then you'll move up to women's physique, which women's physique, they don't even wear heels because they're that jacked. They don't need the heels now. And then you can go to women's bodybuilding, which women's bodybuilding is usually the girls that you see on like the documentaries on Netflix that people try to make them out to be like, oh, they're insane, which, you know what? Everybody just needs to chill, because if they want to look like that, let them look like that.
That's their choice, yeah.
So, and then same thing for men. Men will start in men's physique, which men's physique are the ones that wear swim trunks. They don't train, or the joke is that they don't train legs, but they do. They just don't have to train it as much. But they are the smallest guys. They're still not small, but they are the smallest of the bodybuilding realm. And then after you get men's physique, then you get into classic physique, which they're the ones that wear not the banana hammock thing. They wear like the little, I forgot what they're called. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So like Arnold Schwarzenegger type.
Yes, he was classic physique. And then you go up one more to the banana hammocks. Then you have bodybuilding, and then so on. So I'm not as knowledgeable in the men's divisions as I am the women's.
So it sounds like bodybuilding has had to give you a thick skin with people just having opinions on your life. So talk to us about that journey, because I think that's something that's so valuable. I meet and talk to so many people who are like, well, what will other people think? And I'm afraid of judgment, and I'm worried about who XYZ will think of the choices I'm making. And I just want to make a pterodactyl noise and like throw up when I hear that, because I hate it so much. And I think you've had to do it, obviously. Mm-hmm. So how do you do it for people that are like, oh my God, I experienced that?
Personally, first of all, like when you get into this, whatever you want to do, whatever you are looking for, and this is anything in life, you got to decide if this is what you really want, then go for it. It doesn't matter what anyone says. If this is what you want to be and this is what you want to do, then by all means, you do it. And
do you, boo.
Do you do, yes. Stick to your why. You've got to have a why, and you've got to stick to that, because there is going to be people tearing you down. There is going to be people telling you that you can't. There is people that are going to think that you look bad, or you look disgusting, or you look like a man, or whatever have you.
Or whatever. Let's say people choose to start a business, or they want to move to another state, or they want to get in a relationship. Like, it doesn't matter what people want to do. There is always, listen guys, if you hear nothing I say today, there will always be someone who doesn't think what you want to do is a good idea, because who the hell cares?
Right.
For whatever their reason is, it doesn't matter. People could never take a risk, never do anything new, and somebody will have an opinion about that. Probably me. I hate when people do that. Do what you want to do. Stop staying in your comfort zone. But who cares, right? So for specifically, we're talking about bodybuilding, but this applies to there will be someone who has an opinion on something you want to do. So how do you combat that? Mm-hmm. So you have a why, you said.
Yes, always stick to your why, and always remember, like, whatever you want to do in life, yes, you're going to have the people that are not with you, but you're also going to have the people that you can find people that do whatever you're trying to do, whether it be bodybuilding or anything else. You're going to have people that are like-minded. They just might be harder to find. So never think you're alone or on an island, because there's like, how many billion people in the world?
7 billion, I think.
Something like that. Yes. Wow. Like, so freaking many. I think you can find at least one more that has the same interests as you. So you're never going to be alone. You just got to be a little more vocal to show people what you're into. And that's something that I've definitely struggled with a little bit myself, because of the judgment that comes with it. But the reward is so much better, because the reward is the like-minded people and the friends that you get, and they can cheer you on along your journey. They can be there for you. They can support you because they know what you're going through. And the reward of that is so much better than, this person who's like, oh, you look like a man. Like, cool, thanks.
My boyfriend likes that I decaf.
Right, exactly.
And more importantly, I like it, so I decaf. Like, who cares? Mm-hmm. Something I say all the time, and this may resonate with you, is that other people's opinions are bars to a cage. Mm-hmm. And so if you take everyone's opinion as gospel, all you're doing is building yourself a cage, and then you can't get out, because you're giving those people more power over your life, which is so sad. Like, I see people do that all the time, and it makes me so sad for them. And I'm like, the only thing stopping you is you're worried about what they think. They're not even living a life that they enjoy. Like, they hate their life, which is why they have an opinion on yours. Mm-hmm. Why are you giving someone power who isn't living the life that they want? Like, that makes no sense. And the other thing that I see, if people are genuinely living a life that they enjoy, they're probably going to support you to live a life that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell really quick if people believe in themselves or not, and it depends on if they support my idea. So if they say, oh, you can't do that, oh, that won't work, oh, that's so hard, but what about, then I'm just like, okay, you're not my people. Like, you don't believe in yourself, so how could you ever believe in me? And I wonder if that's something that you've run into, because no matter what you do, people have done it before you as well. So I would imagine that you find the people who have been there are supportive, because they're like, oh man, I know the road that you've walked. Mm-hmm. I know what you're going through.
Oh, most definitely. That's one of my favorite things to do in like the gym that I'm in, or any really gym. It's like if I can like scope them out, which usually I can, find like some like old school like bodybuilder dudes or
Yeah.
women are in there, and I'm like, oh, I want to like go make a friend
Let me
because
be your friend.
right, I want to hear about your struggles. I want to hear what you went through because you went ahead of me and you've experienced all of this, and you probably have some kind of knowledge or advice to tell me that I can benefit from. And I think more people need to search that out because most of the time people like that are willing to talk to you. You just have to approach them.
So find people who have done it before you or people who are in the same space. And I think you're right when you said that the more that you speak out, because I'm sure that was hard. Like you had mentioned when you started posting to social media, that was really hard
Hmm.
because you got some pushback. But I imagine the more you've been vocal about it, the more people who have also reached out to you and been like, me too, or hey, I'm interested in this, or is that something you've experienced?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And that's one thing too that I keep trying to tell myself to continue with because I am not the greatest about posting on social media, especially Instagram. One, because I forget about it.
Yeah.
And two is I do the same thing everybody else does. Is I overthink my content. Like if I post a lifting video, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to post that one because that last rep looked kind of bad. When
Yeah.
when in reality, I'm doing what everyone else is doing, and I'm totally overanalyzing it, trying because we all want to post our perfect, but
Yeah.
no one's perfect.
Right.
I mean, and so instead of like overthinking it, you just post it. If you want to post it, and know that if people don't want to look at it, they don't have to follow you. And if people want to send negative stuff, then there's a block button. I mean, but most of the time,
Amen.
yeah. I mean, but most of the time, what I absolutely love is when I do post stuff, whether that be on my story or I can actually post on my account, is when people comment or DM me privately and they're like, "Oh, thank you for posting that. That really helped on such and such."
That's so sweet.
That is what I love, and that is where I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is great. This is so great."
Yeah.
But also at the same time, silencing those little demons in your head that are like, oh, so and so is going to see this and think that they're going to think I could have put on more weight, or maybe
Yeah.
they think I'm, this or that. So you got to silence those demons and know that, like I said, the reward is going to be worth it. Of help, even if you just help one person, or even if you don't know that you helped one person.
Yeah.
I mean, social media, we can change the world with social media, but yet here lately we seem to be using it more negatively than
Yeah.
positively.
Yeah. True.
So,
I always think something I tell myself often and I tell clients often is like what other people think of you is none of your business. Like, let them die mad. Who cares?
yes.
And I'm just like, I ask people all the time, and it's a very simple question. But I ask people all the time, and I'm like, okay, but how does that stop you from doing what you want to do? And they're just like, oh, it doesn't. And I'm like, right, yes, that's true. So that's something I run into all the time. And I love that you've like naturally kind of gotten there because even if you're only 2 steps ahead of someone, you're still 2 steps ahead. So they're like, oh, okay, she's done it. I can do it. I think that all the time. Like, my David, my boyfriend, wants to start a business, right? And he was like, he and I are different. I think I can do anything, even if it's not realistic. And he he was like, he doesn't think he can do it, right? So he was like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know. And I was like, David, I said, other people run a business.
Mm-hmm.
Like, other people do bodybuilding. Other people run a 5K. Other people move to a different state. And I'm like, stupid people do it. Like dumb people, really dumb people run successful businesses. They get new jobs. They find a partner. They figure it out, right? And I'm like, you're not even dumb.
It's so
like
true.
you're not even stupid. If stupid people can figure it out, like you can figure it out. So it's kind of the same thing. If people with no support can figure it out, if people who are terrified can take the step,
Mm-hmm.
well, you can take the step. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're not alone. And I think that's one of the central things to what you're saying is like there's people who are in this community that who have done what you want to do, who probably want to help you. And if they don't, that's their problem. But
Mm-hmm.
probably they do.
Oh yeah, I definitely second that, all of that, because, but like the biggest thing is knowing, because like you're never gonna know unless you ask, and
Right.
that's
True.
true with a lot of things. Yeah, I mean you're not
Not
gonna.
just ask. I find a lot of people get stuck there. They say, "Well, I don't know what to say." So how do you? What's like one phrase you can use to start a conversation that people can like run with?
In the gym or in like.
In the gym, or if you find someone who you just want to talk to, like how do you start the conversation?
Well, normally. Okay, we'll use a gym example first because I
Yeah.
literally did this just yesterday. So
Okay.
I saw a girl in the gym yesterday who I had seen a couple times. She had some awesome tattoos, and I'm like, okay, well if anybody has like really big tattoos, then they can sit there. They obviously can take some pain because the
Right.
tattoos freaking hurt.
They hurt.
So I saw her and like she was really focused and she was lifting pretty heavily and she
Mhm.
wasn't being obnoxious, but I definitely could tell. I was like, okay, she's really working. You know, I
Yeah.
admire. And I one thing that I have wanted lately is to have more females in like lifting in the gym, more female
Yeah.
friends, because I lack that, and I acknowledged that at the beginning of this year. And I
That's
thought, okay, well, the only way I'm going to have more friends like that is if I actually talk to them because they're never going to know. You know, they
that's so
might think
true.
that I've got, you know, an RBF on when in reality I don't have an RBF. I probably just have to go pee. So,
Yeah.
because I drink so much water, especially
Yeah.
when I'm working out. And so I told myself, I thought, okay, well, maybe I could go ask her for a spot on a leg press because, you know, more than likely you're not going to die on the leg press.
Yeah.
Nothing scary. Worst comes to worst, you just write it down and then, you know, slide out. That's the
Uh,
worst that's going to happen. So I thought, all right, I'm going to go ask her for a spot. But I literally had to work myself up for it. I was like, okay, come on, Emily, you got this. You can do it. And I was like, but she looks mean. I'm like, no, you got it. Go. And so I asked her for a spot, and she was like, oh, yeah, of course, I got you. And she was super supportive. And then
yeah.
we started talking about how long we had been lifting. Easy
Uh-huh.
as that. But it's also so easy to psych yourself out.
Yeah. So I
So
love that you said that your brain started trying to psych yourself out and you were like, "No, brain, we're doing this." Which is the same conversation I have to have. And I think a lot of people just don't know that when your brain tells you not to do something out of fear, you can literally just be like, "No, we're going to do this."
mhm.
And it might be more tense than that, but like you don't have to take what your brain says as gospel.
No, you don't. You really don't. I mean, even if like yesterday, I was so funny too because when I had my watch on and it's like recording my workouts and
Yeah.
it shows my heart rate at all times, and I was like looking at that girl, and then I looked down at my watch and I'd see my heart rate just kept climbing, and I was literally standing still, and I was like, this is terrible. Like my heart rate's through the roof to just go
Yeah.
talk to this girl who's
And
probably going to be
it's
super nice.
scary. Yeah,
It
it's scary to
is.
talk to new people. But what I tell people, because I have a lot of clients who are like, I want new friends. Like, I really struggle to make friends. And what I tell them is something that has always worked for me. And I like to be simple, right? Like, not in a stupid way, but like, I just like things to be as simple as possible. And I'm like, just tell someone you want to be their friend.
Hmm.
I do this all the time. And I just look at people and I'm just like, we should be friends. And they're like, we are friends. And I'm like, no, we should hang out in real life. Like we had friends over for dinner last night and I work with them and I'm just like, we should be friends in real life. And they're like, we are friends. And I was like, no, I meant like come to my house friends. And then they did. And I
Yeah.
just look at people and I'm like, we should be friends. And they're like, I've never had someone say no. So
Well, I
just
mean,
going up to someone and being like, hey, you seem cool.
what are they gonna if you start with a compliment, what are they gonna say?
Right. I mean, they can
Maybe.
only say no, I guess, but like, okay, well,
Hmm.
that's your loss, I guess.
Hmm. And if they don't, you know, say you talk to them one time and they don't want to talk to you anymore, all right, then you get the hint. You tried.
Right. You did your best. So go up to people to build a community and just say, "Hey, I like your shoes. Cool tattoo. Wow, you lift really heavy." And then yeah, I love that.
Hmm. I mean, you have to think. I think about it, especially like making friends of any kind. I kind of like to think about it as how the you know the one person that comes to the gym to pick people up They like go. They're super easy. Like
You go
whether
to pick friends up.
right, just go to pick friends up. I mean, it's kind of the same
You
principle, the
already
same
have something in common.
right. You're already
Yeah,
there,
I love
so
it.
you can talk about the gym at least, or talk about whatever wherever you're at. Because wherever, if you like are waiting in line at Chipotle or something or whatever, then you already got something in common. You like that restaurant.
That's so
So,
true. Hmm.
just little
So we
things.
are almost at time. What do you want to leave our people with?
Definitely going to leave it with number one, do not compare yourself to anyone. Everyone's time and journey is different, and you will get to wherever you're going. Your journey might just be slower or faster than someone else's in whatever you're trying to accomplish in life. Number two, drink your water, eat good foods, eat whole foods, whatever that may be, and keep some snacks on hand so you don't get hangry and chew out your spouse or your dog like I did the other night. And number three, do your best. Just do your best. 2021, we're still on a roller coaster in this pandemic. Things are still kind of unstable and things are still kind of unsure. So just do your best, whatever that may look like for you, and don't compare yourself.
Love it. How can people what is your Instagram handle in case people are like, yo, Emily's dope. I'm gonna follow her. Tell us how to find you.
My Instagram is m_Gann, and that's it. That's as simple as can be.
Can
And
you
it has, huh? Do
spell
what?
Gann?
Oh, Gann. It's EM_GANN, and it's got a picture of me flexing my bicep, my little bicep, because I like fitness. So,
That's funny.
but yeah, hit me
What if
up.
people want to work with you? Are you taking on private personal training clients? God, why can't I
Yes,
talk? Okay, so
yes.
people would just DM you on Instagram?
Yes, you can start by DMing me on Instagram. I have Facebook as well. You can hit me up on Facebook. I get a lot of DMs both on those places. Mostly on Instagram, people will ask me what my schedule is looking like. I do a lot of freelance training right now as well as virtual because some people are okay with like the in-person thing. Some people aren't, which is completely okay. I get it. I understand it. So a lot of virtual training has been done lately, which I'm starting to kind of like it because
Yeah,
it's not that bad. Uh,
interesting.
so yeah, just hit me up. A lot of inspirational and knowledge can be found on my stories. I try to update those a lot more than my actual posts because, like I said, I'm the worst at forgetting on my post. So, but I do kind of update my stories throughout the day, and we'll usually drop some knowledge there.
Okay, so EM_GANN, M_Gann for people who want to get on Instagram. And dude, thank you so much for coming and letting me interview you. This was lovely. And we hit so
Yeah,
many good points.
we did. We hit a lot.
Yeah, you were banging. Okay, you're the best.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and have a great rest of your day.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
What an episode! We got into so many good things. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. And as always, I hope that you have a wonderful day. Shameless plug, I am taking on health coaching clients. So just let me know if that's something you're interested in or if you have questions about. Go ahead and reach out to me. But let me know what your favorite part of that episode was because there were some friggin' gems. So I'm always interested to know what you guys are thinking and feeling. Just send me a message. All right, y'all have a wonderful day.